Out in California, there's a bristlecone pine that is 4,850 years old. We're going to talk about that and more fun pine tree facts while we sketch this little pine tree. So let's just turn the page and get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning on is it Monday? What happened to the weekend? It is Monday morning. On Monday mornings at 5:30 in the morning, I like to do a little thing where I pull a random object from the Random Object Randomizer, a toy from the toy box, and I draw it and we talk about it. And today's random object from the Random Object Randomizer is a pine tree. I'm not sure I like that orientation. If I do the orientation like this, then I only get to use this much of the paper. But if I do the orientation like this, I'm still using the same amount of paper no matter which way I go. Let's just stick with what I've got. Sometimes you just have to work your way through your composition. I had a composition worked out in my mind. Once I started laying it out, it wasn't where I wanted it to be, but I can't see that it's going to be any better if I change it, so I'm not going to. So in the opening, I alluded to the Methuselah pine tree. It's a bristlecone pine, and it's in White Mountains, California. And they did a ring count of a portion of it and discovered that it was over 4,000 years old. And when they did, they said, "Hey, we don't want anything to happen to this tree." And ultimately, they had to hide the location of the tree because people would show up and take twigs off of it. People would show up and take samples away from it, and it caused damage to the tree that the tree was having difficulty recovering from because they grow so slowly. Bristlecone pines can grow an entire year, and the ring is so tightly packed that you can't see the new ring with the naked eye. You have to go in with a magnifying glass or a microscope at times to see the new ring because of how slowly they grow. This is not a bristlecone pine. This is a white pine, but I lumped all the research of all the different pines together, and I didn't get all of them. Just some fun facts about pine trees in general. But it's interesting to me and kind of sad that they had to hide the location. Because wouldn't it be nice if we could go by and see the tree and recognize that we're in an area that's been basically untouched for almost nearly 5,000 years, 4,850 years, nearly 5,000 years, completely undisturbed. But we can't because then people will disturb it. But the bristlecone pines, the way their rings, how tightly their rings are, insects can't get hold of them. Insects can't burrow into them. Insects can't bother them. So they do very well when left alone.
I didn't know that's what kept insects out of them.
That's one of the things. Trees have lots of defense mechanisms. They have toxins that the insects don't like. They have resin that gets the insects stuck, so the insects can't get away and breed. Trees have lots of defenses against insects. They'll close their leaves up, but pine trees can't do that because they have needles. Plants have lots of defenses against insects if it's not a pollinating insect. If it's a pollinating insect, it's the exact opposite. Say, "Hey, baby, come hang out with me. I'll show you some tricks." No.
Oh,
Alright, that's enough pencil. I blocked in the shape. That's enough pencil. Let's move the pen. I was joking before we started streaming. I was joking with my mom. This ought to take all of 10 minutes because it's basically just a cone with lumps in it. It's a safari model, and they have a lot of detail, but at this scale and this distance, the detail just works out into, it makes it look like there's just little balls all over the tree.
Little puffs.
And so I want to avoid that. The trees depend on fire. There's something you don't hear about every day. The scouts will tell you, my scouts will tell you that Smokey the Bear is an eco-terrorist. But you know, he didn't start out that way. He didn't mean to be an eco-terrorist. They just didn't know what they were doing. Samuel Jackson was the voice of Smokey the Bear, saying only you can prevent forest fires.
I didn't know that's who was his voice.
Yep, that's Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson. The guy with the big mustache. Sam Elliott. I said Sam Jackson. I meant Sam Elliott. I get them confused. They look so much alike, you know. I get them confused. I can imagine Samuel Jackson doing it. Put out your fires. I can just imagine that not being able to air on television. I almost couldn't say it on my stream. But Sam Elliott is who I meant to say. I got the Sam part right. My kids will tell you, my scouts, my kids in their scout troop will tell you that Smokey the Bear was an eco-terrorist because by putting out the fires, they prevented the reproduction of the pine trees. The pine cones have resin in them that keep them closed. And the heat from the fire is the only thing that will melt the resin and allow the pine cones to open. Not all pine trees, but many species of pine tree. Cedars, sequoias, white pine, many depend on fire. Longleaf pine, many of them depend on fire to open their pine cones. And they can't reproduce if they don't. And we, for a little over 100 years now, have been putting out every little fire we see, which I understand putting out the ones we caused, but we were putting out the ones where it was struck by lightning. Good morning, Pamela. We were putting out the ones where they were struck by lightning. And those are the ones that they depend on for reproduction. In the 1700s, we started harvesting pine trees in North Carolina specifically. We started harvesting pine trees for their tar and resin for their resin to make tar for the shipbuilding industry. We wanted the wood and the tar both to build a navy, to build ships, merchant ships. By 1860, there were 1,600 distilleries in North Carolina alone making tar from pine tree resin. That is believed to be how they got the moniker Tar Heels. It was because the factory workers would have tar stuck to their shoe as they left the factory. Now, don't be shocked if you find out that there's a completely different story out there somewhere, that's not a more modern interpretation. Rick is with us in spirit this morning as he is out in his wood shop taking advantage of the morning air. He won't be able to stay long. The heat has been brutal. Hey, and there's Claudia too. Yeah, the heat is brutal here. I am absolutely commiserating. I am absolutely commiserating. I tried last night. I tried to open my. I'm in a garage studio, and last night I tried to open the garage door all afternoon long, from about 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 o'clock at night. The sun just beats down on my garage door and just bakes this little room. And this room is right directly underneath my bedroom, so the heat trapped in here just seeps right up into my bedroom. And of course, my stupid HOA won't let me do anything like put an awning over my driveway to prevent the sun from directly hitting my garage door, or put anything over my bedroom window to prevent the sun from hitting my bedroom window directly. That'll detract from the look of the house. No, it won't. It'll save the next owner on their electric bill. It'll only detract if I start using it for storage, which I wouldn't put past my wife. My beautiful young bride has been out of school she's a school teacher, an art teacher, right? So she's been out of school for a couple weeks now, a couple months now, and she's decided to reorganize the whole house, and so she has everything pulled out into little aisles, so we have about a 2-foot path through the whole house. And then she went to bed. Tomorrow's another day. Damn it, Scarlett. Anyway, if we had an awning, she'd have stuff stacked out there right now. So I can understand that perspective of the HOA. We were talking though about the trees needing the fire. They've been doing that for 140 million years. They found evidence of a fossilized tree 140 million years old, and the 140 million year fossil has char marks on it. Where it had gone through a wildfire and survived like it was supposed to.
I know wants to know when Misty goes back to school.
She's going to go back to meetings here in just a couple of weeks. They'll start going back to meetings first week of August or so. And then I think the kids come back the third week of August. Usually they come back. What they've been doing lately is they've been coming back like the third Thursday in August, and they'll go to school Thursday and Friday, and then they'll be out for the weekend and then come back the next week ready to start a full week. But then it's Labor Day, and they get a day off. They go a full week, and then they have a short week.
I think they moved it up this year.
When that's dumb. I do not agree with that at all. You know, it's so flipping hot here. Imagine imagine the expense of trying to cool a building with 1,500 little wound up kids, turned up kids, and they're all wriggle bodied, trying to get comfortable in their own new skin, and they're all trying to figure out how to even behave, and confused and scared and all of that stuff that the little kids get experience when they go to school for the first time. And now they're in this building that they're trying to air condition in Texas, in Oklahoma, when it's 100 degrees outside. You'd be much better off pushing school back off until September. You want to know where your wasted tax dollars are going? That's a big chunk of it. That and administration. we got a superintendent of schools that has a full staff of secretaries, and then we have 5 assistant superintendent of schools, and each one has their own staff of secretaries. You want to know why you can't afford to buy books? Simply start school 3 weeks later, after it's cooled down just a little bit, so you don't have to air condition so much. You save millions of dollars just in that alone.
And they close the pool, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah. Now our pool has swim at your own risk during the day, and it's open on the weekends until Labor Day. It's open on the weekends until Labor Day for everybody, and then during the week we have swim at your own risk with no lifeguard. I can see why they close the pool. They give you all these reasons why they close the pool, but the main reason why they close the pool is because all their lifeguards are teenagers and they had to go back to school. But it's hot, and we should be able to use the pool in the heat. I'm with you 100%, Pamela. Let's storm the HOA. I'm gonna find the very next HOA person I meet. I'm going to hit him up about that.
How do you have an open pool or indoor?
Well, our neighborhood has an open pool. I don't have a pool, but our neighborhood has an open pool. Our high school has an indoor pool. The very next HOA person I meet is my dad. That's what I was trying to get a rise out of my mom, and she wasn't taking the bait.
With the people in our neighborhood.
She wasn't taking the bait. Let me dry this real quick. We'll add some color. Alrighty then. We have Jeffrey's pine around here and north and west of us, for sure. I'm not sure where else it is, but Jeffrey's pine is that one that the bark smells like vanilla or butterscotch, and my daughter gets excited whenever she sees it. She wants to stop the car and run over and smell the pine trees, because when you walk up to it, it smells like a pine tree, but once you get up there, you can lean in and smell the bark, and it smells like vanilla, butterscotch, caramel, and the humor is you're tree sniffing. You've stopped your car to go tree sniffing, but the truth of the matter is, so many people just drive right past them that will never experience that. Will never know that there even is such a thing. Pamela, I think there's Jeffrey's pine around your area also. Pretty sure. If you find one, go sniff it. Report back to us. It's the bark that smells that way. Vermilion. See, part of me wants to add some vermilion to the tree itself, and I think I could probably get away with adding some vermilion right through here. You won't see it when it's finished because it's going to be mostly green. Thank you. Take a little cobalt and a little yellow ochre, a little more cobalt, a little more yellow ochre.
We'll have to see if she can find a tree.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's the hard part in your part of the world. That's the hard part. There's not a lot of trees up in the panhandle of Oklahoma at all. Pine trees, a lot of pine trees have a network underground of mycelium, of fungus. And this underground network of fungus, the fungus will actually sheathe the root system of the tree and connect it to a neighboring tree, and it might be one fungus body connecting hundreds, if not thousands, of trees together in a kind of a neural network made of mycelium, made of fungus. And when one tree is deprived of nutrients, other trees will deliver the nutrients through the fungus. Now, did the tree make a conscious effort to deliver the nutrients, or did the mycelium just recognize a void, or because nature abhors a vacuum? So, was there just a negative amount of nutrients in this tree, and so the mycelium tried to balance out the nutrients from one who was negative in this tree, and then mycelium tried to balance out the negative from the one to the other? I don't know, and I don't think anybody does. I don't think anybody truly does know how that works. I think you could argue the point all day long, but I think that you would just be arguing to be arguing, because nobody's ever going to know that. We're never going to understand the way the tree mind works, right? We do know they communicate with each other. We release chemicals into the ground that causes the other trees to respond.
Since they had an elm tree started in their backyard, she protected it by the new mommy. Now 4 years later, it's almost 20 feet tall, and Rick says it's too close to the house.
Yeah, it's got to be cut down. I get that. I totally get that. It's got to be cut down. We've got one of those growing in our backyard. We have one right by the fence line in the backyard that is right up against the house now, going over the backyard fence, and it's reaching around, and it's whenever the wind blows, it wraps on my daughter's bedroom window, which can be kind of creepy if you're not prepared for that. And I'm going to have to remove that tree. All right, let me dry this real quick. The house my mom and dad moved into when they moved down here had some beautiful trees in the yard, and they came over and they covered the roof of the house for the most part and kept the whole house in shade, and cut their electric bill. It was fantastic. And now they've had to cut those trees down, cut a big portion of their limbs off, because the limbs keep falling on the house. Yeah, I bet you do, especially when the electric bill comes. So we used to sit out in the shade and enjoy the morning air, and that tree is mostly gone. The front tree is gone. The front tree is just a big trunk with leaves sticking off of it now. Used to be, at one point it was estimated there were 90 million acres of longleaf pine between Virginia and Texas. There's less than 5% of that now. And you want to blame the forestry industry. You want to blame the tar and pitch industry, and you want to blame the lumber industry. But the truth of the matter is it's the conservationists that killed them. The bulk of it was the conservationists not allowing them to reseed by putting the fires out. By putting the fires out, it limited the new growth. They do better now. Pine trees are a huge industry, especially out in Missouri and Louisiana, and those states in that area. They have huge paper factories, and lumber factories, and that's all they do is they grow pine trees. They've got rapid growth pine trees that they grow, and they let the sections grow. So like this section grows for 10 years, they will leave it untouched and have a new section growing that's going to stay untouched for 10 years while they harvest from a different area. And so they rotate their harvest. But the long tree, the longleaf pines are gone. Those are white pines. The longleaf pines are gone. And again, it's mostly due to you want to blame the loggers. You want to blame the industrial complex. But the truth of the matter is just conservationists did more damage than any of it. Pamela says her tree and her was it an elm? Yeah. Pamela says her elm tree was the shade, and she really loves the shade. She wanted to keep them because of the way the wind blows here. If it should ever fall, it will fall directly on your house. Yeah. So it's to the south of your house because all the trees in Oklahoma lean north. Did everybody see the subtle hint? We just missed the subtle hint. What is today? Today is the 27th of July. Friday is the last day of July. Wow. Wow. Are those actual birds, or is Dad watching birds on the television, Mom?
No, those are birds outside my window.
Okay. My dad has a bird feeder with a camera on it, and he watches the birds on the television.
What that means is that the birds are under our new patio cover. Yay.
All right, well, there is my version of the tree. based on the photograph. Let's see what it looks like from my perspective. No, you can't change the way it leans. Those Oklahoma winds push those trees. Those Oklahoma winds push those trees north, and that's all they do. All right. There it is from my perspective. So that's what I did today. Tomorrow, I have no idea what's tomorrow. I haven't checked the egg. I should have checked the egg. I should already know what this is. I should already have a factoid to tell you about it. But today, I'm in just as much suspense as you are. Oh, it's exciting. It's a chunky little stegosaurus. You know what I think we'll talk about tomorrow? Because we've done stegosaurus a few times now. I think tomorrow I'll focus on claymation. I think I'll spend tomorrow talking about the stop motion animation that they used for stegosaurus back in the 20s, all the way up until the 70s. They used stop motion animation, claymation, to do this. Claymation was my first art love. So we'll talk about that and more fun stegosaurus facts tomorrow while we sketch this little armored fella. So you're going to want to set your notification bell for that. It's a dino. You're going to want to set your notification bell for that. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. This is my favorite time of the day when I get to art with my besties. I look forward to it every day. I truly do. Pamela, Claudia, thank you so much for joining us in the chat this morning. I really appreciate it. Mom, Dad, thank you so much for your help. Rick, hope your wood project turns out well. Hope you don't get too hot today. But be sure and tune in tomorrow. Same Artistic Biker time, same Artistic Biker channel. And then we dance. We dance until somebody says they see me dancing. Because when they see me dancing, I will know that the lag has caught up to the stream, and I don't have to worry about being cut off mid-sentence. It gives everybody a chance to click the clicky thingy so that you can watch another fantastic video just like this one. Everybody gets a chance to say hello and goodbye to each other and ask any questions they may have of each other. But the most important thing is that I don't get cut off mid-sentence, because being cut off mid-sentence